grab a cup of tea and a seat by the fire. I'm your host, Lena Isleifson, and you are tuned in to Pages, a podcast where we walk the line between fact and fiction, between myth and reality, exploring words and how they wind their way into our everyday lives. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another podcast episode. I'm your host, Lena Isleifson, and with me is Jordan Magyar. We are going to talk a bit about stories today.
Ooh, I like stories.
That's exactly why I asked you to come on this podcast.
Yay.
So, we're going to just start off by getting to know you a little bit. So, what are your interests and what has been the main couple things that have been happening in your life recently?
Well, my interests include stories, largely in the form of fictional novels and television shows. And lately, I have been on break from university at Simon Fraser, which is in Burnaby, BC. Yes.
That's very cool. Very, very cool.
Thank you.
Okay, so you mentioned that two of your favorite ways of storytelling are through fictional novels,
Yes.
and TV shows. Are those like the main ones, or are there other ones too that you appreciate a lot?
Well, I also enjoy graphic novels, which I guess would be in the fictional novel category, but often isn't included. Mm-hmm. As well as movies and podcasts, fictional podcasts.
What kind of fictional podcasts have you listened to?
Not many. One of my favorites is the Magnus Archives, which is a horror podcast. But I also enjoy Welcome to, well, now I can't remember the name.
Is it Night Vale?
Yeah, Night Vale. I was
okay.
going to say Sunnydale.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've listened to a couple of those episodes. It's really interesting. Yeah, my dad likes to listen to fictional podcasts as well. Actually, not really podcasts, more like fake news broadcasts or like stories. There's one, I think, about zombies. He likes horror movies and things. So, what have been your top, however many you want to put in this list, stories that you really enjoyed or that have impacted you a lot?
Okay. Well, to start, I'd say probably, just as a bit of a basic answer, the Percy Jackson novels. That was kind of just where I got interested in stories on my own. From there, I have enjoyed... What else have I enjoyed?
like books, TV shows, movies, songs, even could be podcasts, all those things.
Okay. Another, in a general broad category, is Star Trek. I more specifically enjoy Voyager and Deep Space Nine. They're an interesting contrast, too, because Voyager is a bit different from other Star Treks because it's a bit of a different setting, though they're still in space, and Deep Space Nine is a bit of a darker version of the Star Trek, so I like the contrast between the two. Oh, Mamma Mia, the movie musical.
Is that still your favorite movie?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
It's just very happy.
It is.
Yes. And I like ABBA music, so.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think also probably, a book series called The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater I've really enjoyed. It's a young adult series, but it also has the kind of symbolism and metaphors that you would more typically find in classic novels. So I like that you can see,
really cool.
Both in one modern young adult series.
That's super cool. Okay, what about those stories? Is there anything that they all have in common that you find has defined good storytelling for you?
For myself, what I really look for in stories and what I really enjoy is looking at characters and character development and motivations. That's what I find very intriguing.
That's really cool. Yeah. For me, I get super nervous with books or movies or TV shows that are super character focused because usually they are a lot more intense.
That's
and
true.
They're deeper and sometimes they're a lot sadder. But they can also be so good. Yeah. I think one of my favorite books has been probably Codename Verity. And like Lord of the Rings, of course, The Hobbit, like those adventure ones where you get to see the change of character all the way through it.
Exactly. I think I forgot to mention these as part of my favorite, but I still have 5 left. So.
Tell me.
The 2 series, Fleabag and Dairy Girls, very different vibes because they're both comedies in some sense, but one's a lot more, and they both have dark elements to it because they're both very character driven.
Yeah.
And so you can really see how like different stages of your life, how you can take someone who's in their 30s versus someone who's a teenager and look at how like both of them can be very in-depth.
Thanks for staying with us so far. We'll be right back with the second half of this conversation after the break. Hello again, and welcome back to the second half of this episode. You're listening to Pages, and I'm your host, Lena Isleifson. In today's episode, I'm having a conversation with Jordan Magyar about her opinions on the stories she loves. Okay, I feel like with genres that are meant for different age groups, usually you know what age group it's meant for by the age of the character, right? At least for me, I find that when I read books that are meant for adults, whether it's mystery, whether it's like really no matter what it is, it's not usually quite as engaging. It doesn't draw me in as much, even though I am an adult and I'm supposed to be an adult. And I'm not sure if you have encountered that as well.
I have, yeah. And I think what part of what it is that there's a bit of a loss of a sense of whimsy when it comes to adult novels with YA and children's and I guess middle school grade. I don't really read a lot of that, I don't think. There's a lot of the sense of like discovering the world, and so when it's written, it's meant to like let you discover the world with the characters, whereas adult novels, you already know the world, so it's like there's not as much of effort, I feel like, to like draw you in as much.
Yeah, I think that's true, because many of those books as well, they have multiple characters.
Yeah.
They switch perspectives a lot, or they feature heavily on the internal dialogue of the character.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get trapped inside the person's head and you can't like experience the world as much.
Yeah.
Because you're just seeing all of their thoughts and emotions and feelings. But yeah, and also I feel like with those books too, when they have too many characters, you just kind of want to focus on one person and get their full story fleshed out instead of jumping across different like time periods and not really being able to completely connect with them throughout the whole book. I don't know if that's something that you've noticed as well.
I have noticed that to an extent in adult novels. I think I've also noticed this in YA novels as well. I'm thinking of a book I read. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a YA novel and it had a lot of characters. And they never really focused very much on any of them. They kind of just gave them a clear-cut format. And so they came out as pretty flat because of that. They jumped around too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there have been books that do that well, though, too.
There definitely has. I think, it's like you said, the amount of time you spend on them, you have to, like, be careful with how much you're looking at them.
And I guess, like, which parts of their story you're focusing on, too, so that you can get... I read a book recently, The Lilac Girls. It's about World War II, and it ranges... I think it begins in, like, 1939, and it ends in, like, 1959. And it has 3 different characters that it follows. And it was a good book, but I felt like I was not really getting really deep into any one of the characters because it features over such a long period of time that it's really hard to like get into them. But I also read Six of Crows, which is a YA novel, which we both have read. Yes. And I found their characters like very, very deep and dynamic and intriguing and interesting, and I think there was like 6 different characters in that book, and that's quite impressive to me, at least.
I agree, and I think part of it, it depends on what the novel's focus is, what they want you to take away. So I think a lot of times with adult novels, they more want you to come away with the idea of like some sort of truth about people or the universe, whereas like other books where they tend to go deeper into the characters, they want you to experience this character growth with them. Yeah,
that's true. I like that. And people, I think, are growing more sometimes in young adult novels because they're generally younger, so they're going through the formative years of figuring out who they are and where their place is in the world and all of that. And I think in adult novels, often, they already kind of know who they are, or they're going through a midlife crisis, but they're being changed much slower or in smaller degrees. And so it's a bit, harder to get a reader involved in that.
Yeah, I think that's like you said, like one of the main differences between YA and adult. I'm thinking of similar to Six of Crows, but the Raven Cycle, which I mentioned from Mickey Stiefvater. that one is very character driven. You're given a lot of like looking into different characters' motivations, their types of behavior, and how they change as they interact with each other.
Yeah.
And like you said, with adults, they're already grown into themselves. So now it's how they are shaped according to their new life experiences, but they're already a person.
Yeah.
And
I feel like we've also read the Flavia de Luce series, which is, I think it's an adult.
It's considered adult,
series by Alan Bradley. Yeah, and he focuses on an 11-year-old girl the whole time, I still find a little bit of the same, like it's still a little bit harder for me to get engaged in it sometimes. But I think that's just me. But it's an adult novel that's focusing on a little girl, and it doesn't have like super mature themes or anything in it, but it's an interesting story.
Well, it's like, I find in the Flavia de Luce novels, what they do is, well, originally when he started writing, it wasn't meant to be the 11-year-old girl as the main character. It was an adult man who was supposed to be the main character. I think he was an herbologist or something.
Interesting.
And this man was going to this old manor, and there was a little girl sitting on the steps sketching him, and then he realized, oh, that little girl is meant to be the main character. So that's where he switched it. And the guy who's originally going to be the main character doesn't make it into her books until like her 8th book or something.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
She just took over the story.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've in my own experience and what I've heard from other people that storytelling is often just like trying to find your way through something that's already there, and you're just kind of discovering it as you go almost.
Yeah, I hear it kind of compared to sculpting, where it's like if you have a block of wood, the image is already there. You just have to chip away the pieces of it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely a process. Do you feel like there's anything missing in modern storytelling? Yeah, anything missing or that it's not there that used to be there or has been lost over time?
I think the ability to combine being a story that has like deep emotional exploration of characters but still being light, like something that can have themes and symbolism without being meant for an only like higher brow sort of like upper class audience. Like a lot of times when like Succession, when that came out, and everyone was analyzing the themes of it, if someone wasn't as good as analyzing the themes, everyone else would like mock them. And I think that's like the kind of openness, the ability to design a show so it's not just meant for or a story in general, so it's not just meant for a certain audience. Well, it can be, but like in general, more open category, and then among the fans for more open discussion.
That's a really good point. And I feel like with books and TV shows and movies and songs and everything that is considered to have more of a deep hidden truth to it, people expect there to be that if it's not immediately clear, and then it becomes kind of a marker to your own like intelligence or ability to understand the story if you can find all those deep like hidden meanings. And I think a lot of authors maybe do put deep hidden meanings in, but oftentimes they're just telling a story and those meanings find their way in because it's if you're telling a good story, it's going to be mimicking life, and life already has all of those themes. Yeah. You know? And so everyone's going to find their own thing in it because they all have different experiences, they all have different worldviews and ages, and so when they're reading or watching or listening or absorbing a story, they're all going to find some different meaning.
Exactly. And I think that's like what stories are meant to be, so you can find your own meaning to it.
Yes.
So I think generally there's stories that like tell you about experience you haven't had, such as historical fiction or stories about people who are marginalized and discriminated against. That's meant to be more eye-opening. Whereas there's a lot of stories where it's meant for you to find where you sit in this kind of situation and to like say, well, this is like totally different from my life because that person's a werewolf, but
fair.
But like I feel like I can understand what they're going through because like, oh, they're like become a werewolf when they think about something that was really difficult they had to deal with a long time ago. So it's like the werewolf is trauma, but someone else will say no, the werewolf is anger issues, not trauma.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we have today. Yes. Yeah, that's definitely all the time we have today. Thank you for joining me and sharing your experiences with storytelling and your love of words. Cue the outro music. Thanks for spending some time with me on Pages. As always, I hope you feel inspired to look at the world a little differently. I encourage you to explore the world of words, dive into some good stories, and maybe even tell your own. Be sure to catch our next episode, same time, same place. I'm your host, Lena Isleifson. The end.